Well, Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, the Clemson Tigers get it done in convincing fashion today against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. 49-14 was your final score. Cade Klubnik had a hell of a game. A couple skill guys had some big-time plays today. We'll get into all of that and more coming up in this episode. Welcome into Clemson Postgame Live. Thank you for joining me for another episode. I am, as always, your host, Tiger Paul Craven. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, so if you could help us out with that, that would be greatly appreciated. This is a live video, so as always, hit that like button while you're in here. It really helps us out and brings more people in to talk a little Clemson football and college football. And then last but certainly not least, if you like what me and Jordan do here on Clemson football at the Voice of College Football, go ahead and hit that super chat feature, support the show, and we will be sure to read and respond to your question or comment associated with your super chat. And with all of that said, and without further ado, let me bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. What's up, man? How you doing?
That's good, man. You know, I'm if my voice sounds a little funny, I was I was basically yelling in shock at what I was witnessing as Clemson was running the ball out against Wake Forest. On the other side of my screen, I had the Bama and South Carolina game playing. This is a Clemson Wake Forest post game, so we're gonna talk all about that game. But God, that's so funny, man.
That's hilarious, dude. That's hilarious. What a South Carolina way to end a game where you definitely had multiple chances to win the game. And I mean, you just make the most boneheaded mistakes down the stretch and just literally hand the game back to Alabama.
Quite literally.
Shout out Jackpot. I know he's probably going crazy right now.
Oh man, yeah. I'll have to. I need to. He went to the game.
Yeah, he's at the game.
He's at the game.
He is at the game. Yeah. So.
Oh man, John said that Jackpot was live streaming the end. Oh, it was entertaining. I'll have to go back and watch that because I didn't get a chance to catch that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Man. I can't wait to go back and watch it. I know it's.
That had to have been pure comedy.
You know, the only thing that could have made today any better than the performance that Clemson put on the field was not for South Carolina to get blown out by Alabama, but for them to actually have a chance to win and screw it up in the end. Man, what a day of college football. You know what I'm saying?
Day, man. That is so funny.
Oh, man. Jeez. Thank you, South Carolina.
Thank you, Shane Beamer, Lenora Sellers, whoever you want to thank. Like, good Lord, that was.
Appreciate you guys.
I actually thought they were going to do it, man. I for a second, I was like, you know what? I would have had to give them props, but
yeah, I mean,
that was perfect.
Best case scenario. Best case scenario all around. But yeah, always got to poke fun at the in-state rival. They would take any opportunity to do the same to us. So we just get to do it a lot more to them because they're terrible. So it is what it is. 23 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for being here for another Clemson post-game live. Appreciate each and every one of you getting in already. Hit that like button while you're in here. We got Tiggs in here already. John Sarian is in here. Steele Gamble. John Answers. Eric Watkins is in here. Axel 2253 is in here. And I think that's everybody that's got a comment in the comment section already. Thank you guys so much for getting into the comment section. As always, at the end of the show, once we're done kind of giving our take on what we saw in the game today, we will turn it over to you guys and let the comment section drive the show for the last little bit. And we will chop it up with you guys about this game or anything else that's going on in the world of college football when we get to that point. So stay tuned, be active in that comment section, and we will get to it momentarily. But Jordan, let's go ahead and start with the performance today. Dabo Swinney has never lost to Wake Forest as a head coach, and he is still got a 100% winning percentage against the Demon Deacons. Clemson came out today a little sluggish. Didn't really expect that, but not really surprising at the same, I guess in the same breath, not really that surprising. Started out a little slow, a little sluggish that first quarter. First two possessions ended in punts. The first possession on defense shut down that Wake Forest offense. They go for 9 yards on that first run, and I'm like, oh boy, okay, let's see what's going to happen. And then they just go backwards the next two plays and have to end up punting the ball. Thought that was pretty special. But for the most part, the first quarter was sluggish. I think the defense played a little bit better than our offense in that first quarter. They did allow a little bit in the running game for Wake Forest, but got that pretty much buttoned up after the first quarter. Clemson comes out and scores 28 points in the second quarter, kind of blows the game open, and then the rest is history. They kind of rolled on to a pretty substantial victory. What was your kind of just thoughts on how Clemson started the game and then kind of how they settled in after that first quarter?
Yeah, I mean, you just described it. I mean, I think it really was just a matter of them needing to settle in. They kind of came in a little jittery. Like it felt like just things were, that nothing wrong necessarily with the play calls. And, I thought Cade was decisive. Just airmailed a couple of throws. He missed some opportunities, got, missed block here or there. It just was a little out of sorts in the first quarter. And so, I think that kind of allowed Wake Forest to think they could stay in it a little bit. And it translated over into the defense and the one touchdown drive that they had in that first quarter. They got a little bit of confidence running the ball, and Hank Bachmeier made a really nice play. I mean, I can't really get too mad about that first touchdown necessarily. Maybe the drive to get them into that position, but the actual touchdown itself, I mean, it was just, they got a matchup they like. They got a receiver on Sherrod Coble, and he's not necessarily a cut. I mean, he's not a corner.
No.
And he wasn't even in bad position. He just was, the receiver made a play. I don't remember which. Was it Horatio Fields or Deuce Alexander? I can't remember which one it was. And Wake does have talented receivers. So I think the biggest thing was, at least for the defense, it was they weren't necessarily. People are going to talk about the secondary, but I think the defensive line left them out to dry a little bit.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily getting a lot of pressure. Hank Bachmeier had a clean pocket in that first quarter, and against that offense, you have to win up front. You can't give them that much time. because even against a regular, offensive scheme, giving the quarterback that much time is a tough ask for your secondary. Like, they're going to give up a play, but especially against that slow mesh offense where it forces your second level defenders to have to cover for a really long time. Like, you have to and keep their eyes on the quarterback for a really long time. And, it paused the linebackers, like you saw at different points, Wade Woodaz and Barrett Carter having to kind of freeze a little bit. The safeties coming down, they'd have to freeze a little bit because they knew they couldn't bite too hard on a route because they know that Hank Bachmeier can hold the ball on just a little bit longer and the receiver sneak right by them over the top or something. So, like, I think it really was in that first quarter. I think the defensive line was they had to kind of settle in, and they weren't necessarily winning their one-on-ones as much as you want to. That definitely changed after the first quarter, but I think that was part of the reason why Wake had success offensively in that first quarter and a little bit in that second quarter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they definitely exploited that slow mesh a few times. Kind of to your point, what you were talking about, freezing those linebackers, and I can remember particularly a route, kind of across the middle that Bachmeier kind of pulled it at the last second and popped a pretty big play behind the linebackers. I mean, really just a good execution by Bachmeier and that Wake Forest offense on that. Outside of blowing up that slow mesh, there's not a whole lot you can do to defend it on a play like that, right? The linebackers, they have to freeze for a minute, and it allows that receiver to keep running, and then suddenly they're wide open. So you really do need your D tackles, your defensive linemen to kind of blow up that slow mesh. That's the only way to truly defend that and disrupt the timing of Wake Forest offense, make them make decisions a lot faster. That way their guys don't have the ability to freeze your linebackers and get guys running wide open, which is really what they want to do. But I think overall the defense played really well today. We've talked about, the past couple of weeks about the defense being a little lazy at times, putting stuff on tape where it's just sometimes a lack of effort and not finishing. And Dabo Swinney was interviewed on the sideline today, and he talked about, Clemson was obviously up big at that point. It was sometime in the second half. And he talked about, I just want these guys to finish. And then subsequently, Clemson goes on a very long – we'll get to the second half in a minute, but subsequently, Clemson goes on a very long offensive drive, results in another touchdown by Keith Adams Jr., and that was kind of just the nail in the coffin right there. It was a very methodical, long drive, and then the defense comes out and does their job as well. So I thought the defense finished really well today. They did give up some big runs here or there, particularly in that first quarter, but they kind of buttoned up after that. And then, Wake Forest kind of manufactures that first drive, aided by a couple penalties. I think pass interference penalties really hurt our defense today and really kept a few of those Wake Forest really only had 2 to 3 good drives in this game. Yep. And every single drive was aided by penalties from our defense, specifically pass interference penalties, right? Some of them were very detrimental and kept drives alive that otherwise would have stalled out. But again, Wake Forest goes down, they score that touchdown, our offense immediately answers. Like I said, 28 points in the second quarter. First 2 drives ended in punt, but we immediately answer their touchdown drive. And then what does the defense do? They come out, play complimentary football, get a pick. Clemson takes it in, 2 plays, Maffa, rushing touchdown. Next drive, defense gets a tip ball and gets another pick, and Clemson capitalizes on it once again using, for the first time this season, I think, the jumbo package. So
yep.
That was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the thing that you missed so much last year was that complimentary football. It was, the defense creating opportunities for the offense and the offense finishing. And that was one thing they didn't do so well last week was finishing offensively and in a lot of cases defensively. Like, you were much better I don't know what I had the stats up and then my ESPN app closed, but I wanted to see what our third and fourth down statistic was.
I got you right here. Third down, we were 7 of 11. Fourth down, we were 1 for 1. So pretty good.
Well,
pretty good on both.
Yeah. Are you talking offensively?
Yeah, that was us offensively.
Oh, I was talking about defensively. I was like,
defensively, they were not good at all. They were 3 for 11 on third down.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like,
and then
dang, I was like, how did we only give up 14 points?
They went for it once on fourth down, didn't get it. So 0% on fourth down conversion for them, and then 3 of 11 on third down conversions for them. So the defense got off the field consistently.
But both illustrate my point though, and like you were good on both sides of the ball on the money downs, and that was a big deal. You got stops defensively on third down for the most part, and you were surgical on third. I want to see I'll probably go back and do this for the show on Wednesday, but I do want to go see Cade Klubnik's third down statistics, because they had to have been phenomenal. He was absolutely surgical today.
I mean,
and what the cool thing is that offensively, like, you weren't hitting a ton of explosive plays. It wasn't like the NC State or App State game where you were just bombing over the top and you were getting 50+ yard touchdowns. Like, it was just methodical but surgical drives by Cade, just dot after dot after dot, finding the soft spot in the zone, escaping pressure, getting a couple of yards, knowing, making the correct reads on the RPOs and stuff. It was just like, that is what we've wanted to see. And that was the one thing that they did at times last year, but they didn't finish in the red zone, and obviously they also turned the ball over a lot. And so, like, now you're seeing Cade be efficient, decisive, and accurate for the most part after the first quarter. And the offense, I think they finished with 566 yards of offense.
Yes, 566 yards.
Yeah, I think they averaged about 7 yards per play. If I want 6.7 yards per play. Like, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. Only punted 3 times today, no turnovers for the second straight week. And I think Cade fumbled one, but he got it back. He did a good job on that read option. So, man, it just looks like a well-oiled machine. And once they settled in, and that's what we wanted to see from this group. And it shows that when the explosive play isn't there, not only can they still move the ball, but they can score touchdowns. So, and again, this Wake Forest defense is not very good. Like, we talked about it in the preview show. Like we said, like, they are not good at all, or really statistically anywhere. But you did what you had to do, and I think I predicted 48-20 was my. I think that was my prediction or something like that. You got 49. So, you did what you had to do. And just a lot of guys look good today, especially with not having, Bryant Wesco. Like, you still were really, really efficient, and you finished drives. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think we finally saw a game where the defense and the offense finished throughout the fourth quarter, right? And I think that was important to see. I think, like I said, I think the defense played pretty well. You see, and I keep going back to Cade, but the maturity that we've seen Cade display this season is kind of crazy, honestly, because I didn't expect it. I thought Cade would improve this season, just judging by him taking responsibility for some of his shortcomings last year, and really seemingly dedicating his entire offseason, his entire summer, to just trying to get better. And he did that by various ways, right? Going to work with Jordan Palmer, going to the Manning camps, talking to Nick Foles, different mentors, just doing it, going out to California with his receivers and throwing and different things like that we heard throughout the offseason. So we knew that he was putting in work to become better, but I don't think any of us thought that it would be this much better. And he truly is displaying the type of quarterback that you need to win big games. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He knows when to pull it down and take off and use his legs to get a couple yards and turn a negative play into a positive play. And for 2 weeks in a row, he's played a defense that's kind of refusing to give them the big over-the-top plays, right? They kind of want to make – Wake Forest kind of did the same thing. They wanted to make Clemson methodically march down the field and go finish. But this week was kind of the inverse of last week. Yes, we marched down the field just like we did last week, put up over 500 yards of offense, again, just like last week. But instead, this week, we finished in the red zone, right? So it shows the progression. It shows the maturity of this team. It shows that this team is locked in. And they're getting better every week, I think. And you're seeing different guys do it today. You mentioned, us missing some receivers, right? Brian Wesco didn't play today. Tyler Brown, I don't think he played today either. So you're still missing a lot of those key wide receivers, but you got other guys stepping up, right? Troy Stellato had a massive game today.
Great game.
Great game today. Jake Brenningstool had an amazing game today. I think he led the team in receptions and in yards, if I'm not mistaken.
7 catches for 104 and a touchdown.
There you
go.
From Antonio Williams. And he made some great catches as well.
Oh yeah.
Some catches, some balls that were, a little bit behind him, not the greatest thrown balls by Cade, catchable balls, and he went and caught them and made massive plays out of them. Didn't go down on first contact. Adam Randall, I mean, how's the dude even on the football field at this point? I don't know. But he's catching touchdown passes 2 weeks after he gets a screw put in his foot to repair a fracture. So that dude's insane. Awesome to see him get a touchdown for 2 weeks in a row for him in games that he's played in, right? So shout out to him. He looks good out there. I just think this offense has a lot of different ways. We talked about it coming into this season about how me and you both felt about what this wide receiver room could become. And I think we're seeing it become what we thought it could become throughout this season because of injuries, because of, guys having to set out multiple games and stuff like that. And you're just seeing different guys step up every single week due to the rotation being changed because, this guy's got a high ankle sprain or this guy's got a broken foot or this guy's, a little banged up or, whatever the case may be. And we just roll guys out there. How about Tink Kelly getting his first action of the season, getting
that was awesome
out there. That was pretty cool. Who else?
TJ had a really nice day. I mean, he had a pretty solid day. Caught a couple of screens. They did a good job getting him in space a little bit. He did have the one play, the one penalty where he was doing the little orbit motion or what, maybe it wasn't an orbit motion, but can't remember exactly. But he was coming forward towards the line of scrimmage when they snapped the ball. So legal motion. But what the cool thing is I think that made that like a 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. And what does Cade do? Hit a ball over the middle to, I think it was Jake.
Right to Jake Brenningstool. Yep. Right in between two defenders for to convert a 3rd and 10. So, I mean, it's just, big play after big play today. The conversions on 3rd down weren't always the easiest conversions, and Cade completed them and made a lot of tight window throws today.
Yeah,
and Jake Brenningstool was on the receiving end of a lot of those. Troy Stellato as well.
Troy was so big. And that throw to Troy, that 20-yard, like Cade escapes pressure and on scramble drill just throws he layers the ball right over the second level defender. And as Troy is coming back to the ball, great catch and great focus. That was like one. I believe that was on the touchdown drive that. Your first that was either the first or second. I think it was the first touchdown drive. After Wake had scored at the end of the first quarter.
Yep.
And I think that was on a third down to keep that drive alive. So man, just stuff like that. Like that is the progression of Cade and his rapport with his receivers. Like they're on the same page. And I think they made an effort. I think Cade definitely made an effort to keep Troy happy after, he missed him over the middle on that first drive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and and got him that touchdown. Great throw, great catch, great body control, but great focus by Troy to go down and get it. So people will say, well, that was an inaccurate pass, but no, that's a slant over the middle with a safety coming down. Like you throw that low to give Troy a chance to catch it and protect his body.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a little behind, but it was a great throw, great location to give him an opportunity. That was, that's grown up quarterback stuff.
Yeah, understanding the game, it's understanding the situation. The guy I was thinking about before, Noble Johnson, got a catch today.
Did he? I might have missed that.
He did. That was the guy I was trying to think of earlier. Noble Johnson got a catch today. One catch for 6 yards over there on the sideline towards the end of the game.
I think I missed that one. Yeah. I was watching the Carolina game at that point, just watching them implode.
Yeah. So, really good day for a lot of guys, right? Jake Brenningstool, 7 catches for 104 yards. Troy Stellato, 6 catches for 72. Antonio Williams, 6 for 69. TJ Moore, 4 for 46. And then Adam Randall, 3 for 19. And then Kelly, 3 for 17. So a lot of guys contributing, a lot of different guys contributing than contributed last week, right? Due to, Tyler Brown being out, Brian Wesco being out. So it's really good to see. I like Cade's decision making. It's literally just night and day from where it was last year. I mean, he makes the right decisions with the ball. Yeah. And it's really something this offense has been missing for a while, is that confident decision maker at the quarterback position. And he's definitely grown into that. And it's awesome to see. It really is awesome to see. I think although Clemson came out and started a little slow today, I don't think you could have asked for a better finish from the second quarter on both offense and defense. They kind of just dominated the game. And the first quarter wasn't that bad. No. First time we were held scoreless in a first quarter. First time,
it was really it was your doing. It wasn't
it was our doing. The plays were there to make. We just didn't make. Cade had a couple overthrows, had a couple underthrows. We had some procedural penalties that kind of killed a drive. So it wasn't that we couldn't have scored. We shot ourselves in the foot in that first quarter, and then we just kind of took off after that. As soon as Clemson started losing and Nick Eason was about to have a conniption on the sideline, chewing out the defensive line and the rest of those defensive guys and telling them that, wake up, basically. Like they're not just going to lay down and let you beat them. They're going to try to fight and win this game. From that point forward, when Wake Forest put that touchdown on the board, it was all Clemson. They kind of took over the game, both offensively and defensively. And that's what good teams do, right? You're not always going to start the fastest. We've seen Clemson start really fast a lot this season and kind of jump on people early and then kind of lose focus at the end. And this game was kind of the inverse of that, where we didn't start so well and we kind of had to get it going. But you saw them get it going. You saw them wake up. You saw them kind of play a cohesive game, both offensively and defensively, play complementary football. And it was great to see, man. Overall, I think it was a really clean game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was really, really encouraging. Shout out to the offensive line. They protected Cade extremely well. I think at one point Wake's defensive line had recorded like 2 pressures, like at some point, I think in the fourth quarter.
On 31 dropbacks, they had 2 pressures.
Yeah.
That's that's your offensive line doing their job.
Yep. I thought they really settled in the run game. Phil Maffa, got over 100 yards again today.
He's that dude, man.
Yep.
20,
And then like the
100.
backup offensive line came in and they were running that counter, man.
Yeah.
They were gashing Wake with that counter. Keith Adams Jr. And you got to see Jarvis Green get a couple of carries.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really, they leaned on Wake and ran that clock out. It wasn't like, that's kind of a stark difference from just when we've seen the second team offense get in at times this year. The run game it was like, okay, you run it, get stuffed at the line or something like that, run it again, or maybe a quick passing, complete pass, and then it's third and long, and then you punt. And like, but you ran and you just ran your basic concepts. Like counter is like the basic is like the bread and butter of a Garrett Riley offense, and they ran it well. And Keith Adams was running hard. He was running over people, man. Like
Man, like there were several runs where he should have been tackled at the line of scrimmage or for a loss, and suddenly he's got 3 or 4 yards somehow. And
Maffa did that a good bit too.
I don't know if it was a running back or a safety, but he did what Maffa did to that Florida State player.
He
cracked one of their heads.
Man, the sound of that.
I was like, dang, dude, that's tough, man. And then to see him finish that drive and get into the end zone, he just
ran over 2 dudes.
Yeah, he deserved that touchdown because he put it all on the line on that drive. And like I said, that was like a methodical. I mean, the game was already over, but just showing the ability for that second team offensive line to come in there with basically all the twos in there and just go on a methodical drive like that and kind of finish a team off and chew up the clock. That's pretty special. That's good stuff. That's good stuff to see. That shows that those twos are taking steps forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just on both sides of the ball, and that's great because a couple of games this year we've seen our backups get in and just lay down and give up yards and touchdowns. And they gave up yards on that final drive, but they got the stop on fourth. Like that's growth. And you got some guys to come in. Ricardo Jones on that rollout, because Wake had put in they had benched Bachmeier by that point. I think it was Michael Kern on that rollout, and Ricardo Jones is coming down and following the quarterback, and he doesn't bite on the fake. Comes down and makes the tackle. That was a grown up play because like a lot of young DBs would have either bit or completely gave up a running lane to the quarterback, and he played that perfectly, and great coverage on the back end too on that play. So like the growth that you saw from that point was really, really great. And also just good to have Peter Woods back because
his presence was felt today. His presence was really good. A lot of the stuff that he did today is not going to show up on the stat line, and it's not tackles and it's not all that stuff, but he definitely affected that Wake Forest offense in a big way today.
Him and Capehart were DeMonte Capehart. Oh, I watched him just overwhelmed. The center literally was bending backwards. And fell over. Like that was and blew up a run play. And that was really good to see because you were getting gashed a little bit early. Damon Claiborne is a really, really good back. Great contact balance. He kind of just glides along the line of scrimmage until he finds a hole. And he's tough to take down. He breaks tackles. He's got good speed. But you bottled him up really well, especially once Wake got down, and they really couldn't get anything going. What was it? 3.1 yards per rush on the day. The second straight week that you've held a team below 100 yards rushing.
Yep,
it's good. It's good stuff.
It's very good. Can't ask for any more other than that. And to your point, I like all the praise and love we're giving the twos because we beat them up a couple weeks in a row there when they when they just refused to finish games and they were just allowing way too many plays. And so if we're going to beat them up when they play bad, we gotta give them their props when they take steps forward and play good. And shout out to that second team defense, that second team offense. I think they played really well and they finished. And, that's something that this team's obviously been talking about because it's something that Clemson hasn't done too terribly well this season is kind of finish and close out games. We've had huge leads, so it hasn't really mattered. But at some point in time in the season, it is going to matter. So it was good to see both the offense and the defense just finish from the second quarter on. Just complete domination of Wake Forest and complimentary football. The turnovers really the defense was huge in turning that tide for us. Those 2 turnovers that they produced, it went from we were down 7 to 21-7 in the span of what felt like 3 minutes. And that's credit to the defense. Credit to the offense for responding to that first touchdown drive by Wake Forest, and then credit the defense for coming right out there, giving the offense 2 extra possessions, and the offense capitalized on both of them. Shout out to the coaching staff for being aggressive on that, going forward on 4th and goal, bringing in that jumbo package, DeMonte Capehart and Peter Woods. So I know Dabo Swinney was asked, I think this past week by Chapel,
he was,
who writes for the State, hey, who's in the jumbo package this year? And Dabo's like, I don't even know if we have a jumbo package.
Who says we have a jumbo package?
Who says we have a jumbo package? And then it's funny, like it happens this game right after he's asked. They break out the jumbo package, DeMonte Capehart and Peter Woods at fullback. Good Lord.
Great blocks by those two, man. Wake Forest defense wanted no part of that. They wanted no part of him, too, on that block, man. It was –
I wouldn't want any part of him either, dude. Like
walk-in touchdown for Phil. Beautiful.
6'4", 315-pound fullback. I'm not. What do you want me to do, Coach?
I'm making a business.
DeMonte Capehart over there, basically lined up as a tight end and just crashes down on the end of the defensive line. Good Lord. There's nothing you can do there. And then basically Phil Moffitt just walks into the end zone for a second touchdown of the game. So I like the aggressiveness from the offensive coaching staff, even at the end of the first half where they called the timeouts to try to get the ball back. Obviously, it didn't end at any points for Clemson. We just couldn't get the ball down the field. We couldn't chew up enough yards, ran out of time. But again, I love the aggressiveness of like, hey, we got time. We could probably get, at least another field goal. I like the aggressiveness, and we've showed it all season. The coaching staff has showed that aggressiveness to like, hey, if there's time on the clock, let's go score. Like, why not? Let's go score another touchdown. Let's go try to get a field goal before time runs out. I like that aggressiveness. I think that'll come in handy at some point in time this season. And it just shows that they trust Cade. They trust this offense. And the defense is starting to, I think, round out into shape a little bit, starting to play a little bit more closely to what we thought they would be coming into the season. Obviously, started a little slow for the defense, but I think the past couple of weeks have started to they're taking steps, I think, forward.
Yeah. And today you played a good offense. Like we talked about last week with Florida State, like they have not been a good offense all year. Right. Wake averages over 400 yards per game. They average something like 250 something passing yards a game, 150 rush. Like they are a very good. It's a very good offense. Hank Bachmeier, he's had a good year. Like their defense just hasn't been able to stop anybody. That's why they have the losses that they do. Mm-hmm. But like that is a good offense that you played with talented receivers. A couple of really good back. I mean, Claiborne is really good, but the second string guy that I can't think of. He was breaking some tackles too. Tough run, physical downhill guy.
Yeah, big number 30. Yeah, that dude was chewing up the defense there.
He kind of reminds me, and not just because he's a white running back, but he kind of reminds me of that running back that App State had. And I can't think of his name, but kind of similar running style.
Just refused to go down, like you couldn't tackle him.
Yep. I mean, that's an offense with some really good pieces. Their offensive line, while they do give up sacks, they protected, decently well at times. So like the way for your defense to play the way they did today, I think was a really, really nice step forward for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan Spell says Khalil Barnes finally made some plays this game, and I think he almost played for them. Yeah, so shout out.
Yeah,
shout out
much
Khalil
better
Barnes.
game. The safeties in general, man, were really, really good today. Khalil was really good on the back end. RJ Mickens, man, I rave about RJ Mickens. I probably don't do it enough.
Yeah.
I don't think that the fan base does it enough. He's one of the best players on the defense, and he's just been that way for a couple seasons now. He's just so consistent, knows where to be. He makes sound tackles, comes down, he flies. Just everything you want in a safety. And that one of the better like evals that I think Clemson has had at the safety position, because I mean he's a smart player. He's been in the defense a long time. So like this, just continue to do your thing, RJ. We see you, man. I thought they protected, they covered really well on the back end. Wake, the big plays they got in the pass, the couple of big plays they got in the passing game were catch and run stuff, for the most part. Just really, other than the touchdown on the fade route where Koval, he had good cover, he was in position, just couldn't make the play. Receiver made a better catch. Is what it is. That happens. But all in all, I thought you covered really, really well. And didn't give Wake's receivers a lot of opportunities to get separation or get down the field. Jaden Lucas, I did want to point that play, that the one shot that they really took, and the receiver had a step, but Jaden Lucas, man, that's the corner that you thought you were getting out of high school, man. Like that, just great play to break that one up. Because it was either it was going to be him or it was going to be a I don't know, he might have been able to make the tackle, but it was going to be a big play regardless. And he just read the receiver's hands, got that hand up, and prevented that from being a big play. He had a couple of really nice coverage moments in this game. So that's another player I wanted to shout out. Jaden Lucas had a much better game today. Yeah, that was probably definitely the game of the year.
Definitely a guy I wanted to shout out because of how tough of a game he had last week. It was just not good for him last week, to the point where Ashton Hampton came in and took majority of the snaps. That's how rough it was for him last week against FSU. And then, you turn the page and, on to Wake Forest, and he made several good coverage plays today. And the biggest one being the one you pointed out across the middle, where that quite possibly could have been a touchdown. Because a lot of times those do turn into touchdowns. Was there a possible tackle there? Yeah. But I think if he makes that catch, he's probably gone for a very explosive touchdown. And he just he jumps up, times it up perfectly, slaps it out of the air. And that would have been a huge explosive play. Not that Clemson would have ended up losing the game or anything like that, but you just like to see a guy come off of a game where he really struggled, and then the complete opposite today. So no change in confidence, no doubt in his ability. He comes out today and puts a completely different performance on tape, and that's important because that dude's super athletic and has the ability to be a really, really good corner. He's just got to become a little bit more consistent.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Today he showed his ability of how he can play when he's on and when he's doing the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else you wanted to hit? Probably the worst thing about today was probably your punting.
Before we go to punting, shout out Colin Griffin for his interception.
Great.
So
Way to be there.
He got that big first turnover for us. They kind of, like I said, those two turnovers by him and Khalil Barnes that kind of shifted the game. So shout out.
What's funny? We talked to didn't Khalil Barnes? I feel like in the Wake game last year, did Khalil Barnes force a turnover? I don't know if it was a pick, but he forced a fumble.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Like that's pretty funny. You know, that probably sucks to watch if you're Dave Clawson because you had Khalil
because
Barnes.
you had him committed at one point.
Yep. So yeah. Yeah, Eric says he had a forced fumble straight. Yeah, in the Wake game. So that's two turnovers that he's gotten against Wake Forest in 2 games. So
absolutely
good for KB.
But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the punting game because how about that 20-yarder?
Yeah, man, that's not good. It's not good. They got to be better there. Listen. I'm. It's kind of been shocking because Aiden Swanson was so good last year, especially in the back half of the year. I don't know what's changed. I don't know if they've got him doing something differently.
Yeah.
But he's not getting air under it. He flat out missed the ball on that 20-yarder essentially. Just wasn't even like Wake was sending a lot of pressure or trying to block it. He just flat out wasn't getting air under it and kicking it as well as he did last year. And this is more reminiscent of what he was in 2022. And I don't know what the problem is, but that's something that definitely needs to be straightened out because against better teams where you're not putting up 49, 50 plus points per game and you're going to punt sometimes and sometimes you're going to have to win field position battles. That's not good. That's not good. You have to be able to flip the field. And he's been in the program. He's a 6-year senior now, right?
Yes.
5th or 6th-year senior. Like you expect better punts out of him. So I don't know if I don't know if they need to make a change, go to Jack Smith or whatever, but they need to get better play from that because it's not great.
Yeah, Clemson has just zero ability to flip a field, like some other teams have, and it's not just the punting. I think we need to work on some return kind of game, and I know we pretty much fair catch it almost exclusively as far as punt return. I think we need to try to create some stuff there. If you're going to put a guy back there as dynamic as Antonio Williams, let's try to block for him and get some yardage out of it because we know what that guy can do in the open field.
Oh yeah, and he's made a couple of plays this year, but like I think for today mostly it was Wake's punter was really good today.
No doubt.
He got air up underneath the ball and gave Wake's punt team time to get down and cover, and he got distance. Like that's, I don't know what year their punter is, but he certainly was a lot better today than Aiden Swanson. So that
he wants to come to Clemson. Maybe we can get a transfer.
Yeah, Ivan Mora. Actually, that name sounds familiar. I think he's been there a long time. Yeah, he's a senior. 6 punts, 286 yards, 47.7 yards per punt, along the 54. And then Aiden Swanson today was 3 punts for 114 yards, 38 yards per punt.
Whew.
Along of 48. That's not very good.
Their punter averaged almost 10 yards more.
Yep.
Per punt.
That adds up. That doesn't sound like 10 yards in a vacuum doesn't sound, but when you're talking about punting, like that's a massive difference.
That's a big deal when it comes to field position type games.
Yeah.
Which is what worries me later on in the season when you do get in a field position game where, you're not moving the ball particularly well. The ability to flip a field and a punter to be a weapon can sometimes be the difference in winning and losing some of those games. So hopefully he can get back to a closer version of what he looked like last year. But it's certainly
I don't know what changed, man. He practically won you that Notre Dame game last year.
I know. Like I said, I was hard on him the year before, and then last year he kind of, he was kind of a completely different punter. So I don't know if last year was the anomaly or what the what the deal is. But again, with that terrible punt, like literally giving Wake Forest the ball in, positive territory, the defense stands up and they go nothing but backwards and have to punt the ball. So I thought that was an amazing stand by the defense because they really got put in a terrible position by the 20-yard punt. Wake Forest, I thought Wake Forest was going to come out of that with points. As soon as Aiden Swanson kicked it, I was like, oh, man, come on. But the defense stood up, pushed them backwards. Wake Forest had to punt. And, again, that was just another example of this defense just kind of stepping up in a really big way when you needed it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think that's I think that covers all my thoughts. I don't really have anything else.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think we have anything else. Last thing I want to mention before we move on to the comment section. They did sneak in that transfer portal graphic.
Yeah, they did. You know what? You know what we need to do? We need to start timing. We should timestamp when they what time in the game that they show it. I feel like this is the latest that they've done it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they're
the latest.
It was it was sometime in the middle of the third quarter, I think, or maybe it was the second. I think it was sometime in the middle of it.
It was the third quarter, end of the third quarter, somewhere in there. I think
it was like half. I think there was like 7 or so minutes left in the third quarter, if I remember. Yeah, I think that's the deepest they've gone without showing that transfer portal graphic.
Yeah, that stupid graphic they got, and now they're starting to lump in all the service academy and be like, man, look at all these teams' records who didn't take transfer portal player. Yep. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, what?
Brother, yeah. But I've just kind of accepted
no more material to talk about. I almost dread every time Clemson starts blowing out a team because I know, here it comes. Here comes the transfer portal talk.
It's better to see it in a
positive way, yeah.
Positive way than when they showed it against Georgia. So.
That's true. Yeah. I guess I'll take it because it is being used in a positive way for Clemson this year. But still, it's just like, are we really going to talk about this literally every time Clemson plays a football game?
Yeah.
We get it. They didn't take a transfer. Everyone knows. We don't got to talk about it anymore.
I think they have a quota for the amount of times they have to mention it. I think they have to mention it once per broadcast because it keeps people maybe it keeps the non-Clemson fans watching engaged because that's all they think about now when they think of Dabo and Clemson.
Yeah. Maybe they paid a whole lot for that graphic and they just got to
they're getting their money. They had to pay whatever social media or graphics guy that they paid to do that. Must have scammed them because they're trying to get their money back.
They must have got a real big check because they are showing that thing like crazy.
I've seen some Clemson fans on Twitter have it as their profile pic. I thought that was kind of funny.
That's funny. That's funny.
We should have those standing at the door and just
we should start posting it every week on our community tab.
That's a great idea, man. Just with no context, no.
We'll just post it there. Won't say anything. Maybe we'll start doing that. Yeah. All right, guys. That's our thoughts on the game today. Very good game for the Clemson Tigers. Cohesive win. Left no doubt. Blowout win for the Tigers. 33 people here in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and showing up for the post-game live. Appreciate every single one of you. Hit that like button while you're in here and consider subscribing. Me and Jordan do a show called The All-In Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. We also do, obviously, the post-game live videos immediately following every single one of Clemson's football games. So appreciate each and every one of you guys being here. what we're going to do now is kind of turn it over to the comment section. We're going to read and respond to your comments for a little bit. But before we do that, let's hear a message from Mark Rogers.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.
All right, guys, you heard from Mark Rogers there. Go check out the Patreon. Go check out the Voice of College Football bets. A lot of good information there, a lot of good picks for you there. If sports betting is your thing and you enjoy betting on college football, I encourage you to go check out Mark and all the rest of the resources that are there. You will not regret it. Tell them the guys over at the Clemson channel sent you over there. Thank you guys so much. All right, Jordan, the time has come. Let's turn it over to the people and see what they want to talk about.
Let's do it, man. Trevor on the special teams, he says, yeah, special teams is like watching paint dry at Clemson. Yeah, it's special teams hasn't necessarily been special over the years. So, can't say this is anything new.
No doubt.
At least you didn't lose. It didn't, you didn't have any costly mistakes like you did at times last year. And, last week, you didn't have any blocked field goals, mostly because you were just scoring touchdowns. So that's great. John with an update on the Louisville. I'm sorry, not the Louisville game, the Pitt game against Cal. They're up 17-6. That's midway through the second quarter. Stanford's up on Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Notre Dame's up on Stanford 14-7. How about Virginia? Tied at 7. And score about to score apparently on Louisville.
Oh boy,
that's one to watch. Shout out to Tony Elliott.
Is one of the undefeated ACC teams about to fall?
Potentially. Well, Louisville's not undefeated.
Oh, not Louisville. I'm sorry,
because they lost to Notre Dame. They're undefeated within the ACC though. They haven't lost a conference.
Yeah. I want Virginia to win that game.
So that's not true either. Because Louisville lost last week to.
I want Virginia to feel real good coming into Tiger Town next week.
They lost to SMU. That's right. Yeah, no, they're not undefeated within conference. Excuse me. I'm usually better about that.
Let's get UVA a win there, so they feel real good coming into town next week.
That could be a lot of fun. John also asks, who's going to replace Mac Brown next year? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm assuming Georgia Tech won 41-34. Man, UNC is spiraling fast. It's something.
I think Mac Brown's already quit, but I think he's just coaching right now just to kind of finish the season, I guess. I don't know what their plan is.
Yeah, I mean, he almost quit immediately after they lost to James Madison. So right. It's just he told the locker room that he was quitting, and then changed his mind or whatever and went back to work the next day. So
I'm assuming the administration had him change his mind. That would be my assumption. Is like they were
I
like,
don't know.
hey,
I have been told by people that in the North Carolina spaces, like Mac is one of those coaches that takes losses like extremely hard. Like he's almost he overreacts after everyone. Like he takes them really, really hard. And he was like, I think at that point he was like, man, I've changed my staff. I've made all these changes and I'm the constant. So maybe I'm the problem. And so he was like, that was a strange situation though. I've never seen a situation where a coach tells his team that he's quitting and then
doesn't quit. And then no one talks about it. It's like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
that's weird. I can't imagine what that locker room was like. He says, funny, 50% of the teams who do not use the transfer portal are undefeated, and Clemson only has 1 loss. Yeah, I mean, service academies are doing just fine for sure.
They're doing pretty good.
And Clemson is, has bounced back from that week 1 loss pretty well. Hustlers Inc. says Troy Stellato should have had a 140-yard game today, but Cade overthrew him on the first try. Yeah, that was definitely one. You could see the visible frustration on Troy. He was like, oh, come on, bro.
Yeah, that one was definitely at least going a long way, probably going to the house.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
Nobody within
wide open, man. It is what it is. He missed.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Harteg also says his aunt, uncle's wife, brother is the graphics league guy at ESPN. Wow. Well, tell him to stop. Tell him to stop with the damn graphic. Then, like he's got maybe he's not the one that made it, but he can tell whoever made it to stop or fire him. No, don't do that.
So we found the culprit.
Yeah. We have, we have connections over here. And this is what we have you guys for.
That's right. Yeah. You guys are our connections.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell them to cut that out.
Yeah. Cut that out. We don't need that.
Yeah, Dylan asking about Cole Turner. No Cole Turner. He was out there. Cade threw him a ball.
He had a target over on the sideline, but it was an overthrow by Cade. It wasn't a catchable ball. So that's the only time I think I saw him targeted. Just one.
Yeah,
time.
That's the only target I saw. I don't know how many snaps he got in total, but I don't think he played a lot.
Yeah, sure. I only noticed him on that play.
I
didn't notice him any other play. For sure, I don't think he was targeted more than once. But we'll see. We'll see how much he played when the snap count comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. Cole played today. Just weird, the personnel. Yeah. I don't know. They've gotten him involved. They've gotten Cole involved a good bit, in spots this year, but he's just, sometimes it's like it wasn't really a great time to use him because they weren't giving him a whole lot of they were giving you a lot over the top, and they just, I don't know, they just didn't. They felt like they like getting the ball to Antonio Williams, and Antonio Williams is really your guy when you want to run they ran a pop pass with him. They did end arounds with him last week against Florida State. Like that's what he's just better about that. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Cole being injured, but that could be part of it. He just didn't play him a whole lot.
Yeah.
Dylan says Bill Belichick to UNC, total assumption, but he isn't done with football. That was shot. Bill Belichick is now. If there's anybody that could get the kind of soft nature of UNC football in general out of that program, it would be a guy like Bill Belichick. But
yeah, but do you think he'll go? You think he's interested in coaching college football?
Not at all. No, I don't.
I don't think Bill Belichick would be interested. I mean, college football is crazy, man. The amount of work that college coaches do versus what the coaches in the NFL do, like the hours, I don't know, man. Like, not that, like, I'm not saying NFL coaches don't work long hours, but like it never ends for college coaches.
Yeah.
Whole aspect of it that NFL coaches don't have to worry about. Like, they don't have to worry about recruiting.
Nope.
They don't. Like,
could you imagine Bill Belichick walking into some 16-year-olds?
Do you imagine some 16-year-old approaching Bill Belichick and be like, "Hey, how much money are you gonna give me?"
Yeah.
He's just like, "What? Are you kidding me?" Like, I don't know. I just don't see Bill Belichick fitting the college football game right now. I don't know. That's just me. I think I'm not like, I do believe he'll coach again as well, but I fully believe it'll be an NFL job. I don't ever see Bill Belichick coaching college football for any program. Nothing against UNC. I don't think it has anything. I'm not saying he wouldn't coach because it's UNC. I just don't think he'd coach in college in general. It's so different than coaching in the NFL.
Brandon says Stellato was the best blocking wide receiver. I'll have to go back and watch. I mean, Stellato's been really good in the blocking game in general, but
he tends to be a big time effort guy out there when it comes to blocking.
So wouldn't surprise me.
He was like that last year though, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Dylan mentioned Jarvis Green got a run in the game as well. Yes, he did. It was good to see him get out there.
4 rushes for 28 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So got a little bit of run today.
Mm-hmm. The most he's ever gotten. I
think that's his most carries so far in a game.
So good to see him out there.
Well, 7 yards a carry, not bad.
Yeah, John saying, can you imagine Belichick? Yeah.
No, I can't.
Yeah, that would be something. I pay good money to see it, but just see his response. But no, good Lord. James says Belichick to the Eagles. Well, if Sirianni if the Eagles continue to fumble the bag like they've been, maybe
they make a coaching change. I'm sure he would be on the list.
John mentions Barry Odom to UNC. I could see that. Yeah. I think that would be – I mean, we've seen him – he wasn't a great head coach at Missouri, but I don't know. I think maybe that would work. So I don't – it wouldn't be the most inspiring hire that UNC can make, but I could see it if UNLV continues to have a nice year. Jack says Troy Stellato is better than Tyler Brown. Well, I mean, yeah, right now, absolutely, because Tyler Brown isn't playing.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a hot take right now, but I think people. Yeah, I think we've kind of forgot how good Tyler Brown was last year, and when he's healthy, what he adds to this offense. So, people talking about Dabo talked about in the apparently in the post game press conference that they're going to hold him because he's kind of plateaued in his recovery. So might be back. He said he might be back after the bye week, but probably not going to play before then. So that's disappointing. He's really sophomore wide receivers at Clemson.
I said it. I think a couple weeks ago. He is last year's Antonio Williams.
Yeah.
Explosive, leading the team in receptions, leading the team in yards. As a freshman, sophomore campaign comes around, can't stay healthy. It's literally exactly what happened to Antonio Williams last year.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody forgot about him too.
Yep.
And then suddenly Antonio Williams is back fully healthy this year, and everybody's like, dang, Antonio Williams, man, that dude's good. Like, yeah, he's been good.
He's been good.
He just had a season where he couldn't stay healthy, wasn't that he's a bad wide receiver. And same thing for Tyler Brown. This may end up being a season-long thing for him to just kind of in and out of the roster or in and out of the lineup and in and out of the rotation, and may not have the season that we all thought he would. But make no mistake, when he's back fully healthy, he will be an absolute weapon for this offense to use.
Yep. And I think the awesome thing is that the difference is that you have depth. Like last year, Antonio Williams not being there was
it's
a nightmare.
There was nobody to step in and be like, "Oh yeah, I'll take his snaps."
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Brown played very well, but he wasn't he couldn't carry that passing offense by himself.
Right.
I mean, obviously he had Jake, but like you were not consistent, and obviously Cade was not nearly as good and comfortable in the offense as he is now. So that's another big thing. Axel mentions Mike Williams. Yep, when he literally broke his neck.
Broke his neck. Yeah.
What was that against Wofford or Furman?
I don't know. It was one of those small schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was scary, man. I remember that.
Yes.
Still almost won a title without him. Which makes you wonder. I always wonder what that Bama game would have been like if you had him.
It would have been different, that's for sure.
Yep. And then adding Mackenzie Alexander and Shaq Lawson, who also didn't play in that title game.
Yeah. Man, I forget about that until we talk about it. Jeez, we were missing a lot.
Yeah. Couldn't stop OJ Howard and Jake Coker.
Not, bro. That dude. I was so sick of him by the end of that game. I was like, I hate this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he will forever live in my nightmares. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not to get off track.
Every time I looked up, he was gaining 20 yards. I was like, good Lord, can somebody please tackle him?
Just complete coverage bust. And then he did it again the next year, but he didn't let it kill him. You didn't let it kill you the second time.
Yeah, it didn't beat us the second time, but he still had a game.
Jay mentions I missed OPH today. Yeah, I don't think I saw him a ton.
I have to go back times. I don't know that he was ever targeted.
No, he wasn't targeted.
Sure. I saw him in on a few plays. Again, I don't know.
I'll have to go see the snap count.
He was out there. I did notice him out there a few times. Just no targets.
Stellato says Stellato was capable. Hustler Inc. says Stellato was capable of being Antonio last year downfield, but was rarely targeted. I wouldn't go that far, but Stellato definitely had opportunities last year, more opportunities last year than the numbers. I think he still had close to 400 receiving yards on the year, but definitely could have had more.
Again, we got a completely different quarterback right now than we had last year,
and he was also banged up at times. So that's. I remember he literally got hurt during warm-ups in one game last year.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't all just, Stellato being out there and not getting the ball. Like sometimes he just wasn't on the field because he wasn't healthy. So,
he played through a lot last year too because he had to. We didn't have a lot of options at wide receiver.
No, we did not. Trevor says talking about Shaq Lawson makes me feel old. Yeah, especially when you talk about. I mean, I'm saying this like I'm probably not allowed to say that. Say that I'm old, but you think about. It's like, man, his little brother is literally on the team.
Yep.
So it's like, it's something. But I know my older, Clemson, fans, like, when they see Josh Sapp out there, like I can't relate to that because I was not around for the Patrick Sapp years.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
Makes you feel old. Steel Gamble says Mackenzie Alexander going out is what lost us that game, in my opinion. Yeah, I think he was the single worst, loss. Shame, man. He was so good in that.
Terrible timing for that.
He was so good in that Oklahoma game. And he just couldn't go. Although I've heard some interesting things about that. But that's for another time. Hard Take says, hey, bros. Yeah, have a great night. Great win. I'm going to go watch some of the other games. Go Tigers. Yeah, sure thing, Hard Take. Good to see you, my man. No, you're
stopping by, man.
Across the world. So, I know it's different for you trying to catch these live streams and these games. So
crazy time zone differences.
Yeah. All right. I think that's a good place to end it anyway. You got any parting shots?
No, I don't have anything. Another one in the books. Clemson Tigers get it done, 49-14. I think it was a good team win. I think it was a cohesive win. Played complimentary football. Started a little slow, but when they got it going on offense. I really enjoy watching this team kind of grow this year and just kind of find themselves and just become, come into their own, if you will. Cade Klubnik has impressed me thoroughly this season. I did not know at all the steps that he would take forward as a quarterback. And hopefully that play continues. Hopefully his confidence continues to grow. Because he's playing pretty special right now. So credit to him, credit to the offensive staff. Good to see the Tigers finally put together a really good win where the offense and defense kind of finished the game together. So that was good to see. But other than that, just happy to have another one in the win column. 5-1 on the season now. On to the next. Here we go.
Yes, we are, man. We're halfway over. The Clemson's regular season is halfway over, man.
That's 6 games already. That's it. We're officially halfway through the season. That's crazy.
Yep. Insane. But that's why we love it, and that's why it's so bittersweet when it when you get to the end, because you only get so many of these a year. So
it takes so long to get here, and
gone before you know
once it gets here. So.
Yep, that's for sure.
But hey, guys, keep in mind, don't forget, 8 p.m. Wednesday, the All-In Show. Me and Jordan will be right here giving you our final thoughts on this Clemson and Wake Forest game after we go back and rewatch it. And then we'll be breaking down the Virginia Cavaliers coming to Tiger Town, Tony Elliott, homecoming, all that great stuff. It's going to be an amazing matchup to talk about. There's going to be some exterior storylines to talk about, obviously, with the return of Tony Elliott. First time he's back in the Valley since he left Clemson to become the Virginia Cavaliers head coach. So we'll talk about all of that and more in the Wednesday edition of the All-In Show. Hope you guys show up, and can't wait to see you there.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, y'all just hang on in there. We are, plugging along. I think this team is really starting to, we're figuring out its identity and putting it all together. You got to keep showing up each week. You got Virginia next week, who's playing good football right now. And of course you got to you got to play Louisville at home and then at Virginia Tech. So, this is going to be an interesting stretch for this team. But I'm excited for it, and y'all just be here each Wednesday and each Saturday, and we'll be there to break it all down for you.
Absolutely, guys. All right. Until Wednesday, I'm Tiger Paul. He's Jordan Bowman. Go Tigers.
Later, y'all.